In the year 2324, humanity was at its most advanced stage. Spaceships roamed the stars, and new planets were discovered daily. However, a rising tension between Earth and other alien species threatened to derail peace. A great assembly known as the Galactic Council, which represented various planets and species, was created to foster harmony and understanding. But the path to peace was rocky. The Galactic Council met on the lush green planet of Alicia, known for its breathtaking vistas and calm atmosphere. Among the council members was Ambassador Lila Tran, a passionate diplomat from Earth. She believed in the strength of unity and the need for collaboration. Her closest ally was Zeldar, a tall and elegant being from the planet Varnes, with shimmering blue skin. He was known for his wisdom and calm demeanor. Together, they worked hard to build a bridge between the diverse cultures of the galaxy. As the council gathered, Lila sensed a cloud of frustration hanging over the room. The representatives from Terra, a warlike planet, continued to push for aggressive tactics against rebel factions on nearby worlds. Lila stood up and spoke passionately. "We need to work together," she said, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "Every being in this galaxy deserves to live in peace. War will not solve our problems." A murmur of agreement and dissent moved through the room. Zarnak, a heavy-set creature with a deep voice from the planet Gortha, responded angrily. "Your ideals are noble, Earthling, but we cannot trust our enemies. They seek to destroy us. We must act decisively." Zeldar raised a hand to intervene. "Perhaps we could consider alternative solutions. Might we start with communication? Peace talks could ultimately lead us to a better understanding of one another." Lila nodded, seeing the spark of hope in Zeldar's proposal. "Let's withdraw our weapons and agree to talk it out. Let us invite representatives from both sides to a neutral zone." Surprisingly, Zarnak agreed, albeit reluctantly. The council decided to hold peace talks on the neutral moon of Orion to lay the groundwork for a ceasefire. This was their chance to mend the rift between the Earth and Terra. In the days leading up to the talks, Lila and Zeldar spent hours preparing. They created blueprints for discussions that focused on shared goals rather than differences. Lila understood that communication was key, and she fostered a sense of hope among the council members. Finally, the day of the peace talks arrived. The moon Orion loomed in the background as delegates from Earth and Terra gathered on the cold silver surface. Surprisingly, Zarnak arrived with a stern expression, but a stronger air of caution. He seemed to be weighing his options carefully. "Welcome, everyone," Lila said, taking a deep breath. "Today marks the beginning of our journey toward peace. We must discuss our issues openly." As the discussions began, emotions ran high. Representatives spoke passionately about their people's fears and grievances. It was tense, but there were moments of clarity. Zeldar used his diplomatic skills to guide the conversation, reminding everyone of their shared origins in this vast universe. Just as tensions began to ease and optimism grew, a loud explosion echoed across the surface of Orion. Panic erupted as everyone turned toward the sound. Ship alarms blared, and representatives rushed to assess the situation. An unidentified ship had launched an attack out of the darkness, causing chaos amid the discussions. "Is this an attack?" Zarnak roared. "Are we surrounded by enemies here?" Lila's heart raced, but she knew panic would destroy their chances for peace. "No. Stay calm. We can solve this," she shouted, trying to bring order back to the delegates. But the chaos spilled over as accusations flew. "I told you we couldn't trust them," Zarnak accused, pointing toward the Earth representatives. "They want this war. They brought this upon us." Zeldar stepped forward, his voice filled with authority. "This attack is not a reflection of Earth or its allies. We must focus on the real enemies who want chaos in order to regain control of the galaxy." Suddenly, a holographic image flickered to life in the center of the gathering. It was a mysterious figure, cloaked in shadows. "Fools," the figure laughed. "You would all choose peace, while I will thrive on your conflict." The council gasped, realizing that someone had orchestrated this chaos, intending to break apart the fragile peace they were seeking. "You have played into my hands. Watch your world destroy itself." Lila, fueled by a sudden rush of determination, shouted, "No! We will not let you win. Speak your truth. But understand this. Hope cannot die in the face of fear. Inspired by her voice, the council members began to unite against the cloaked figure. Zarnak, filled with fury, rallied the warriors of Terra, while Zeldar motivated the diplomats. For the first time, they fought not as individual planets, but as a united front for peace. A struggle ensued as the council members combined their forces against the mysterious enemy. Laser beams lit up the cold surface of Orion as they defended their ideals bravely. Lila, Zarnak, and Zeldar fought side by side. The ties forged in the heart of conflict connected them deeply, beyond rivalry and suspicion. Finally, the cloaked figure retreated, realizing their plan had failed. The conspirator would not shatter their spirit. As the council members supported each other, waves of energy pulsed through them. They sought peace with newfound resolve. After the chaos subsided, Lila looked around. The representatives stood together, breathing heavily but united. Let us not forget what we have faced today. Lila spoke. A powerful force does not want us to thrive together. We must commit to this peace now more than ever. Let's turn this moment into a history of unity. Zarnak nodded. We will not be swayed. Our enemies are clear now. From then on, the Galactic Council's resolve strengthened. Lila Tran and Zeldar, along with Zarnak, united the differing planets. They created alliances and worked through the pain, marking the start of a new era built on trust and strength rather than fear. The galaxy learned that withdrawal from conflict could lead to understanding, unity, and ultimately, peace. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council hummed with nervous energy. Representatives from 100 worlds, each a unique tapestry of biology and technology, shifted in their seats. Today was supposed to be a day of celebration, the culmination of years of painstaking negotiations. Today, humanity, the newcomers to the galactic stage, were scheduled to sign the Pangalactic Peace Accords, formally joining the Council and ushering an era of unprecedented cooperation. But something was wrong. Terrence Clark, the lead human negotiator, stood at the podium, his face grim. Beside him stood Ambassador Anya Sharma, her usual diplomatic smile replaced by a mask of steely resolve. They were a stark contrast to the celebratory banners and the meticulously arranged display of interspecies delicacies. Council members, Clark began, his voice echoing through the hall, we stand before you today with heavy hearts. After careful consideration, the Human Federation has decided to withdraw from the Pangalactic Peace Accords. A collective gasp swept through the hall. The Volusian delegate, known for his calm demeanor, nearly dropped his data tablet. The Grolak ambassador, a hulking figure of chitin and muscle, rose to his feet, his mandibles clicking in agitation. Explain yourselves, he boomed, his voice laced with barely controlled fury. After all this time, all this effort, why this betrayal? Clark held up a hand, silencing the uproar. Betrayal is a strong word, Ambassador. We have not come to this decision lightly. We have spent months observing the Council, studying your laws, your customs, your ways of doing things. And we have come to a conclusion. He paused, his gaze sweeping across the assembled delegates. This Council, despite its noble intentions, is fundamentally flawed. It is built on a foundation of compromise, of appeasement, of endless negotiation that ultimately leads to stagnation. You prioritize harmony over justice, consensus over progress. Ambassador Sharma stepped forward, her voice cutting through the stunned silence. We have seen firsthand how vital decisions are watered down, how aggressors are allowed to operate with impunity, how the needs of the many are sacrificed for the comfort of the few. The Human Federation cannot, in good conscience, be a part of a system that perpetuates such injustices. The Volusian delegate, regaining his composure, spoke with measured calm. Councilman Clark, Ambassador Sharma, your words are harsh, but perhaps there is some merit to your concerns. Can you provide specific examples? What actions of the Council have led you to this drastic decision? Clark nodded. The Kthar incident, for one, a blatant act of piracy and aggression against the Zidonians. And what did the Council do? A strongly worded condemnation, and a trade embargo that was riddled with loopholes. The Cthar are still raiding Zidonian freighters, and the Council is still debating the definition of lethal force. Sharma added. Then there's the situation with the KRYL. Their blatant disregard for environmental regulations on their homeworld is poisoning their entire sector, and the Council is studying the long-term effects while their oceans turn to sludge. The accusations hung in the air, heavy and accusatory. The Council members shifted uncomfortably, their carefully constructed facade of unity beginning to crack. They knew, deep down, that the humans were right. The Council was often paralyzed by bureaucracy, its decisions slow and ineffective. The Grolac ambassador slammed his fist on the table. So, what do you propose, humans? That we abandon diplomacy and resort to brute force? That we become galactic bullies, imposing our will on weaker species? Clark met his gaze unflinchingly. We propose a different approach. An approach based on action, on accountability, on a willingness to defend what is right, even when it is difficult. We believe that true peace can only be achieved through strength, not through weakness. And what does that mean for the future? The Volusian delegate asked, his voice laced with concern. Will you wage war on those who violate your principles? Will you become the very thing you claim to oppose? Sharma stepped forward, her expression softening slightly. We do not seek war. We seek justice. We will use our strength to protect the innocent, to deter aggression, and to hold those who break the peace accountable for their actions. We will be a shield for the weak, a sword against the wicked. The silence that followed was broken only by the hum of the Council's life support systems. The delegates stared at the humans, their faces a mixture of apprehension and grudging respect. They had come expecting a docile new member, eager to assimilate into the Council's established order. Instead, they were confronted with force of nature, a species that dared to challenge their authority and expose their flaws. Finally, the Volusian delegate spoke. Councilman Clark, Ambassador Sharma, your words have given us much to consider. The Council will convene to discuss your concerns and to reevaluate our approach to galactic governance. We cannot promise immediate changes, but we assure you that your message has been heard. Clark nodded curtly. We appreciate your willingness to listen, but our decision stands. The Human Federation will withdraw from the peace accords. We will, however, remain open to communication and cooperation on matters of mutual interest. With that, Clark and Sharma turned and walked out the hall, leaving the Council members in stunned silence. As they departed, a ripple of unease spread through the assembled representatives. The humans had not only rejected their peace treaty, they had also challenged the very foundation of their power. In the days that followed, the Council was thrown into chaos. Accusations flew, alliances shifted, and the carefully constructed facade of unity crumbled. Some members condemned the humans as reckless warmongers, while others secretly admired their audacity. As the Council debated and bickered, the Human Federation began to put its words into action. They intervened in the Cthar raids, swiftly and decisively dismantling the pirate fleet and rescuing the Zidonian captives. They provided technological assistance to the KRYL, helping them to clean up their polluted homeworld. The galaxy watched with bated breath. Some feared the rise of a new galactic superpower, while others saw the humans as a beacon of hope, a force that could finally bring true justice to the stars. Slowly, the Galactic Council began to realize the magnitude of their mistake. They had dismissed the humans as naive idealists, underestimating their strength and their resolve. They had clung to their outdated methods and ignored the growing tide of discontent. The Volusian delegate, now acting as a de facto leader, addressed the Council. We have been complacent, he said, his voice filled with regret. We have allowed bureaucracy and self-interest to blind us to the needs of the galaxy. The humans were right. We must change. He proposed a series of reforms designed to streamline the Council's decision-making process, to increase accountability, and prioritize justice over political expediency. The proposals were met with resistance, but the Volusian delegate persevered, arguing that the Council's very survival depended on its ability to adapt. After weeks of intense debate, the reforms were finally approved. The Galactic Council began to transform, slowly but surely, into a more effective and responsive organization. They reached out to the Human Federation, seeking their advice and cooperation. The humans, in turn, were cautiously optimistic. They remained independent, but they were willing to work with the Council on specific projects, sharing their technology and their expertise. The galaxy was still far from perfect. There were still conflicts and injustices, but there was also a newfound sense of hope. The humans, by withdrawing from the peace talks, had inadvertently sparked a revolution, forcing the Galactic Council to confront its flaws and to strive for a better future. The galaxy had been shaken, but perhaps, just perhaps, it had been shaken awake in a distant future, where stars filled the sky and planets spun in harmony. The Galactic Council ruled the universe. They brought together different species, helping them resolve conflicts and maintain peace. The Council was large, composed of representatives from various planets, each with its own history, culture, and desires. Among them were Emit, a wise elder from the crystal planet of Glaciera, and Zira, a brave warrior from the fire planet of Flamaris. For years, however, one species remained a challenge: the humans from Earth. The Council had held numerous peace talks with them, aiming to integrate humans into the intergalactic community. But humans were passionate and stubborn. They often pulled away from discussions, arguing that their needs were not heard. One day, the Galactic Council convened to address this issue. Emit stood before the assembled representatives. "We must not give up on the humans. Their potential is great. They need our guidance," he urged. Zira nodded, her fiery hair reflecting her determination. "But they must also learn to listen. If they withdraw again, we will lose them." A fierce disagreement followed. Some council members believed humans were too volatile to include in galactic affairs. Yet Emit and Zira remained firm. They proposed an idea: a shared journey into the unknown, where humans could lead an expedition to a newly discovered planet named Viridian. This planet held valuable resources that could benefit all, but was also dangerous. If the humans accepted this challenge, it would prove their commitment to peace. After much debate, the Council decided to invite the humans once more. Their emissary, Captain Nora Blake, stepped forward, a strong-willed woman known for her sharp mind and fierce loyalty to her crew. As she listened to Emit's proposal, a spark of adventure ignited in her eyes. "I'll take my team and lead this expedition," she declared, surprising everyone. Her crew consisted of 3 loyal companions: Leo, a calm and calculating engineer; May, a skillful diplomat; and Raj, a courageous pilot with a talent for navigating through danger. Together, they were seen as a formidable team. The Council was hopeful that this journey would change everything. Days later, the human ship, the Starlight, launched toward Viridian. As they approached the planet, they marveled at its beauty. Lush greens covered the surface, with shimmering rivers snaking through. But their excitement was short-lived. As they descended into the atmosphere, the ship jolted violently. "What was that?" yelled Raj, his hands gripping the controls as he fought to steady the Starlight. "Too much turbulence," Leo replied, inspecting the engineering board. "We might have to land early." The ship crash-landed just at the edge of a dark forest, surrounded by towering trees that looked alive. Shaken, the crew gathered their thoughts. "We need to explore and find out what resources we can gather," Captain Blake said, determination in her voice. "Let's split into 2 groups. Leo and May, you search for food and water. Raj and I will scout the area." As they ventured into the forest, shadows danced in the corners of their vision, and strange sounds echoed around them. The excitement turned into unease as they realized they were not alone. Creatures moved through the underbrush, some watching them curiously, others appearing hostile. "I don't like this place," Raj murmured. "We should stick together." "Stay alert. We are not here to fight," Blake replied. They pressed on, trying to collect samples and data, hoping the Council could see their efforts were serious. Meanwhile, back at the Galactic Council, Emit and Zira were following the expedition's progress closely. "I fear for them," Emit said. "Viridian could reveal its dangers at any moment." Zira sighed, her fiery nature showing through. "We should have sent a fleet of ships with them. Humans tend to leap before they look." As the humans explored deeper, things grew darker. That night, they set up camp under the glimmering stars. The atmosphere was thick with tension. May, trying to lighten the mood, shared stories of Earth, painting pictures of blue oceans and green parks. But the others remained pensive, their thoughts on challenges ahead. Then came sudden rustlings in the bushes. They all turned. A pack of creatures, resembling wolves but standing on two legs, emerged in the shadows, growling low. The crew stood their ground, ready to defend themselves. "Wait, please," May shouted, stepping forward. "We mean you no harm. We are explorers." To their surprise, the creatures hesitated, eyeing May curiously. The leader, taller than the rest, sniffed the air and approached her. There was a moment of tension, but then something shifted. The leader extended its hand, and in a strange way, it communicated with May, who felt a rush of images and feelings, a connection. May exclaimed, surprised and excited. The crew watched with a mix of awe and confusion as May slowly knelt, showing that they meant peace. This was a turning point. Eventually, the wolf-like creatures began to respond, bringing them food and water as a sign of friendship. The humans realized that their differences were not barriers, but opportunities for connection. They spent time with the creatures, learning their ways, and in return they shared stories of Earth. Back in the Galactic Council, news of the human success reached Emit and Zira. Yet, not all council members were convinced. Some still argued that the humans were reckless. But Emit held firm. Sometimes to understand others, we must walk in their shoes. This expedition could be the beginning of a new era. Days later, as the humans prepared to leave Viridian, they promised the creatures they would return. The pack howled in agreement, having made friends across species lines. The humans flew back to the Galactic Council with tales of friendship and unity, ready to share their experiences. In the council chamber, Captain Blake confidently addressed the gathering. "We've learned that peace is not just about talks, but about understanding and connection," she said. "We humans might be different, but we can be allies." Emit and Zira exchanged relieved glances. It was clear. The mistake was not in the willingness of the humans to cooperate, but in underestimating their potential for connection. The Galactic Council welcomed the humans into a new alliance that day, one built on trust and understanding. As the stars twinkled overhead, the universe felt a bit smaller. Peace was possible, and it would flourish through shared experiences, bridging the gaps between different worlds. And in the heart of it all, the humans had found their place, proving once again that when it comes to unity, the spirit of adventure can break down even the tallest walls.